Darren Marsman is a stuntman in Canada. He played the maintenance man. And we had to create a very lifelike silicone head of him so that he could receive a mallet handle through the chin and out the top of his head.
Right through the head.
You know, when you make a life cast of somebody, you can only explain to them once what to do once they're under the alginate, and you hope that as a performer they can help you with the scene by adding something to it and helping you capture that look that's frozen in time and ultimately will be the selling point of the gag. So if it's a stupid expression, it's going to last a lifetime. And his life cast came out cleaner and nicer and more perfect and precise than any one I've ever taken or anyone that anybody in the shop had ever taken. So with Darren, that gag is so successful and the blend between him and the fake head is so seamless because of what he did for us. We had him come back so many times and sit right next to the fake head while we painted and matched and hair for hair and color for color.
You ready? Yeah. 1, 2, 3.
When they cut back to the actor, it's all one and the same when you see the scene put together. Usually when you do something like that, you kind of try and conceal it in a turn or a shadow or something swiping the lens or something, but he's just in all his glory there, and giant silicone fake head taking up the full screen and all lit and just look great.
Anytime, Darren. Action.
There was one stuntman by the name of Dave Campbell. The most obvious physical trait of his is he has no legs.
Action.
Dave Campbell's big scene was the garage zombie, and in fact, that was the first thing that he did do. The garage sequence is a big kind of turning point in the film. It's one of the first big scares once they're in the mall. The idea was that he was going to be coming down the pipes of the garage, hand over hand, with his legless body kind of trailing behind. And then from the pipes, he'd be letting go and grabbing the cast member and taking him down and biting him. They harnessed him and cabled a little bit of weight off his back and actually led him around with that. So it created this kind of freakish speed.
When he let go, they pull him down and whoosh, he landed on Barton. Chewed on him like that.
A classic example of how we were using people's physical attributes to create the character is the jogging zombie. He was missing his entire right arm from just above the elbow down, so we turned him into a freshly amputated bite victim. His makeup was relatively simple. It was a stage 1. It happens when the truck is coming into the mall. Whether it makes the final cut, I don't know, but he's one of the first examples in the script of a fast zombie, because you see him go from just kind of walking around and then he spots our victims and then he's doing 100 miles an hour.
Gloated woman is not a woman. It's a guy, Hermes.
I think that Stoney, the stunt coordinator, thought he was going to have a hell of a difficult time finding a stunt woman who was big enough, who could play the part, because it involved a big fight scene. So they opted to go with a man and gave me the challenge of turning him into a woman. I think we probably had about 6 weeks to design and create and test and then finally get him on set.
He has like a goatee and he's like kind of a tough looking guy in real life. He doesn't look like a woman at all. Thank God for him.
You know, you can make somebody look like something, but unless they turn it on from inside, it's nothing. And whether we made him look like a woman or not, he had to play a woman. You know, he had to be a woman. It came time to put the wig on him, and it looked horrible. So luckily, we had a pretty good stockpile of wigs, and we started playing around with them, and we plopped this one on his head. It's kind of this scraggly, salt and peppery hair. As soon as we put it on him, the whole thing just completely came to life, and he knew it, and we knew it, and we were taking digital photos and showing them to Hermes. And as soon as he saw that it was something that he believed, this performance came out of Ermis that nobody knew was going to come out of him. And all his stunt friends were kind of ribbing him because he was so good at it.
Don't pick up my skirt.
I'm looking straight into your good eye.
Into my one good eye.
To transform her from healthy to dying was not an easy task because she was so beautiful. It was one of the principal characters who was in a zombie makeup that was not pre-designed in Photoshop. It was one of the characters that was shot in sequence, and we just let her evolve in her makeup day by day, just so long as one day was worse than the next.
I loved watching horror movies when I was a kid. I saw American horror movies translated in Russian, and they were still terrifying. I basically watched half of them with my eyes closed like this because I was so scared.
The character of Monica, we had to create a life-size, lifelike dummy of her because inside of the arcs, there's an accident and commotion, and a chainsaw kind of gets out of control and passes right through. We had to start off by taking a full life cast of her and recreating her whole figure with a silicone model. We had to be able to repeatedly shoot that scene. It was not a one-take deal. You couldn't put all this money into a dummy and then actually try and cut the dummy in half and hope that you get it in one. It had to be reloadable. The whole cut area is actually a cartridge that would fit down in there. And that cartridge was loaded with all the blood bags and goo and everything. After one take, after the chainsaw passes through it, that whole cartridge could come out and be replaced with a brand new one and touched up, and you could go for take two.